love this song. Woo!
On the road
again. Welcome to the Outdoor Journal Radio Podcast, coming to you from the road again. This is one of our road editions, a special
baby.
one.
Give me a hell yeah.
Okay,
baby.
we'll give you a hell yeah on that for sure, Stevie.
I'm Angelo Viola, Peter Bowman, Dean Taylor on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Dean Taylor, our producer.
Give me a hell yeah.
That's a big hell yeah.
Yeah. And Bova, as usual, behind the glass. Well, what a wonderful few days we've been in NWT, baby.
Northwest Territories, Canada.
NWT.
When you think of fishing, this is one place you have to think of. When you think of North Country fishing, this is it right here, pretty much. And it is everything we expected, and then some. For sure.
It's one of those places we fish. We're blessed with the opportunity to fish all over this wonderful country, and there are great fishing opportunities everywhere. North of the 49th. There's some in the south too, but we won't talk about those. But when you get a chance to go to NWT, baby, you need to jump on it, and we jumped on it. It's been about 15 to 20 years since we last shot.
Yeah, it's been
here.
a long one. I don't even remember what lodge we shot at or anything. The last time I was here, I can't even remember.
The last time was the Norweta. The ship out of...
And here, yeah. Come on, that was the last time?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Wonderful ship out of Yellowknife, Northwest Territories that was a great... It's no longer in business. We cursed it. But we found a little piece of heaven, boys and girls, and we're going to share that with you here on this podcast. Before we do that, I want to remind you all about thefishingcanada.com, the place you got to be, your portal, your gateway to your next fishing adventure.
Yeah, be there or be square.
Including NWT. We'll soon be there. There'll be a wonderful article, I'm sure, on this.
Come on now.
For sure there will be. I'm going to talk about it a lot.
Boy,
and so
a
we
lot.
should, justifiably
boy,
so,
a lot.
my friend.
While you're there, don't forget to go into the store, whether you're going in from the front door like I always do, or you sneak through the back like these heathens among me.
Hell yeah. Why would we want to be seen? We don't want to be seen.
Front or back.
Go in the back door, you can maybe steal a little bit of stuff, too.
Some lovely swag like that.
Yeah, like how about that hat right there?
Yes, the hat.
Two-tone, you know what I'm saying?
All the goodness. All the goodness.
Come on
be
now.
one of the boys. Be the first in your group of anglers to wear the Fishing Canada logo, and he'll give you something special because he's like that.
There's
if
a good
you do
Fishing
that.
Canada logo. We might make these available one day. We're getting a lot of requests for these babies, aren't we? Woo, no wonder. It's a great zip-up hoodie. We've got the reds, got all the colors. I'm digging it.
Behind us as we speak, by the way, are the folks, some of the folks that work here at the Brabant Sheffy.
He's still out there fishing.
He's this is is this guy hardcore?
This guy's hardcore. And one of the best, maybe the best chef we've ever experienced at a lodge. He is so good. This guy is so good. We'll
talk about him in a moment. But
Colby,
what you're seeing, Colby, yeah. What you're seeing behind us is the mouth, the delta of the Mackenzie River that runs right across this great nation of ours. It runs about 1,700 miles and eventually dumps into the Arctic Ocean.
Come on now.
Into the Arctic Ocean.
Wow.
But
wow.
Before it turns right and heads into the Arctic Ocean, it veers off and heads south to the Laird watershed.
Liard. Urs will beat you up if you say it wrong.
Liard watershed, which really gave us the first connection with this wonderful body of water and this incredible fishery behind us, because it was in British Columbia, the northeast corner of the Rockies, in fact, that we first discovered the wonders of the Mackenzie River.
Yeah, there's some pickerel in BC. What the heck?
Who fishes walleye in BC?
It was unheard of to us, living in Canada our whole lives, and yet it's true. Oh, it's damn true.
We found out from Urs, the owner of that operation, that the fish that he had in one of his lakes, Max Havish, I think it was called.
Hamish. Yep.
Hamish and Aeroplane Lake, that the pike and walleye there actually originated from right here behind us, the mouth of the Mackenzie River.
Come on now.
And migrated years ago all the way up the system and down into the lower part of the Rockies, northeastern part of the Rockies.
Pike made sense here to us because pike with Great Slave Lake, we've always known that there's pike and lake trout, etc., in Great Slave Lake. The walleye really surprised us a lot. So, but then when there's pike going over to versus in BC, we're thinking, what? There's so much that is probably untouched that people don't even know about yet in these,
and the quality of the walleye there impressed us more than anything else. And now, having fished them here, their home range, we know why the quality was spectacular.
It's an unbelievable average size. That's what we found out the most of all this stuff is that you don't get you got a 14-incher and it was an anomaly. It was the only small fish we got. All the rest of them were all minimum 2 pounds, 20. You
had to mention
inches.
that, didn't you? That I got the little one.
It was because you got a record.
You just had to. You had to mention I got the little walleye.
Well, we got a little walleye.
You don't
the other day.
Say I got the big walleye. It's the little walleye.
You did get the big walleye too.
I know, but you don't mention that.
Well, that's you're up there when I prompt you with that one, like you just did.
So anyway, here we are. We flew. By the way, a little bit of a. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I will, because I usually don't. I want to congratulate Air Canada.
Wow!
For the first time.
For the first time.
They actually flew their first. This is their inaugural year of flying direct from Toronto, Ontario, to Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. Before that, you had to fly to Edmonton or Vancouver and then get a flight into here. Yeah. Well, now you can fly out of Toronto, and thanks to Air Canada,
she was pretty full. That flight was full too.
It was full, and I'm thanking them not because they decided to fly here, because I think that was dumb of them not to be here before, but they were actually on time.
Oh, wow.
We departed on time. Our luggage got into Yellowknife. Like, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience.
It was a very nice flight. They have a beautiful plane that they use for this. You got your little movie screen there. You can watch your movies. Service was awesome. The clean, modern plane. Yeah. It was just everything was great about it, for sure. Absolutely. So.
And then we overnightted in Yellowknife. And who in their right mind would not want to overnight in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories?
It's a done deal. You got to do it. You got to do it.
And visit the Wildcat Cafe, which we visited some 20 years ago when we were last here.
Yes, sir.
And Harley's, another wonderful local establishment.
Oh, you might want to watch that one, folks. There's a special breed of person that goes to Harley's. Let's just say that. Most of the guys that come to these lodges probably.
Another one. We'll tell you the story. We were, first night we were here, actually it was first afternoon, we were in Yellowknife. We decided that we wanted to go for a walk and maybe grab a pint somewhere at a local brewery or establishment.
We're looking for supper.
We're looking for something to eat as well.
Yeah.
And we were walking down the street and we saw this great little thing called Harley's. And we thought, wow, it looks like
a Montana's, like a whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
And so we walked in, and we found out it was, first of all, it was very dark.
Very kind of weird. One dude sitting in there,
and
right?
One dude and a couple of girls and another woman behind the bar, and they knew, as soon as we walked in, we had that look, that look in your eyes where you say, what the hell am I doing here? Because what we did see right there front and center was a big, beautiful brass pole.
Yes, indeed.
And we all went, huh? And the lady behind the bar says, yeah, the firemen who live upstairs use that pole to slide up and down. What are you, idiots? First time
exactly, here? Nice one with the drums.
But it was.
We never got anything to eat there, by the way. So nor drink.
But we did tell them how wonderful the establishment looked, and and if it were any other time, we'd probably.
She was a very friendly bartender. She was very nice, very personable.
But anyway, so from Yellowknife, then we took a flight to Hay River. We headed straight south to Hay River, which is just next to the delta here at the Mackenzie River mouth. And we're going back there and do some shooting there tomorrow. I believe, right?
Yep, correctamundo.
And then from there, a short little flight.
Wait, you got to wait.
What, did I miss something?
No, you didn't miss anything. I'm just going to add to it. I'm going to embellish the Hay River experience. So we're waiting there. And we have tons of luggage. When we're shooting here, like this stuff here, we have to bring all this stuff, along with all the TV stuff, along with all our gear and everything, and fish finders, the whole 9 yards. And they said, well, we're gonna drive somebody over for your gear. And we looked over behind the airport, and there's a pickup truck pulling a caravan plane across the
parking lot and into the back of the tarmac.
And this float plane had wheels on it. They pulled it up. We said, "That our plane? No way!" Pulls it around right in front of the airport. He unhitches the trailer hitch, and we load this plane up, and this freaking thing takes
cool.
off from the pavement
right.
and lands straight behind us here. So.
Yeah. Wonderful
Very
experience.
cool.
That's just a little snippet of the adventures just getting to a place like this.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize that in a lot of cases, I think most cases where you're visiting an outback location like this, the trip there is half the adventure.
Oh, it's cool.
And this is no disappointment.
Yeah. And if you're doing it with, a typical lodge trip, is with your buddies, right? Usually it's a bunch of guys get together, fishing buddies, maybe some girls too, but mostly when we experience these lodge trips, it's 99% guys that get together, and they're all buddies or corporate guys that get together or something like that. And it's it's all about the whole trip from start to finish, right? Not just the fishing.
So anyway, we're here because we were commissioned to shoot a Fish in Canada episode, which, by the way, job well done. We will show you that episode.
Done, didn't we?
I think we got her done.
I think we got her done.
We'll be airing that episode starting in the 2025 airing season.
Yes, sir.
Sometime early January. Not sure when that particular episode will be there. But I got to tell you, it might be... I can't even think of when we would have shot a more spectacular northern pike Fish in Canada episode. That's how good it's going to be.
Hands down. This is the best pike fishing that he or I have ever experienced in our lives, from anywhere in Canada, the whole country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From northern Saskatchewan. They're all great, but this place is special. This is
unique.
Unbelievable.
Unique in the sense, what these fish are doing, as we said, this is the mouth of the Mackenzie. So on the other side of that mouth there is, I think, the second largest freshwater body in Canada, I believe.
I think it is, yeah.
Great Slave.
So 2,000 feet, over 2,000 feet deep
in
one spot.
It's the deepest freshwater body, I think,
insane.
in the country for sure.
Big body of water.
But it's huge. And what happens is that these northern pike don't live in the Mackenzie all the time. They migrate in here during the spawning season. They come in up here to spawn. And they go up to a little place called Beaver Lake, which is about
it's a ways up there, man.
45-minute boat ride every morning. We get in those boats, by the way. How's Sheffy doing back there? Has he got one yet?
No, Stevie's with him now.
Oh,
Stevie's
Stevie.
down.
Stevie will get him one, sure.
By the way, when we said this is the best northern pike fish, they catch 15 plus pike a day off this dock, plus lake trout and anything else. So just to let you know, it's the lodge dock, and they're slaying it. God, so sorry.
So the fish, they come in here to spawn, and they run up this place called Beaver Lake, about I don't know how many miles. I think it's about 20 miles.
It's a trek, man. And
20 miles.
And look at the current. Hopefully they can see that current. That's a strong current.
Yeah.
So.
You know what's really unique about this river, too, which really blew my mind, is that it's shallow. This water behind us, the average depth is like 8 to 10 feet. So it's a shallow body of water.
That never surprised
But look at the volume.
Yeah.
Look at the volume of water.
Ridiculous amount.
So these fish go up and spawn. And
their trek in is easy for them. They come from the lake. This is all down current, the way they're going with the current.
Right.
And they got to turn around after they're done and go home. And that's when I'm sure that's when the adventure must happen.
Which is kind of odd, I guess, and unique for pike that we're normally chasing, because most of them are lake pike, which these are too. But normally a lake pike will find, that marshy back bay with maybe some incoming water, and start spawning in mud and crud and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. This is different. These fish go up this river, and they go up to an area that's got like solid granite rock outcroppings with some weeds around them, and they start mucking around there in otherwise a clay bottom river, and they spawn. And then just as soon as they're done, they start working their way back out again.
Yeah.
The season's very short here.
Very short. I think the lodge closes in end of August.
Yeah, end of August.
June to August.
Yeah, that's
because
it.
In September and October, she gets nasty in northwest areas. That's far north, so they got to be out of here like that.
Very unique fishery, and unique. We've discovered, anyways, a unique pattern of fishing for pike, We mentioned
awesome.
we mentioned rocks, and we mentioned weeds, and we mentioned clay. Well, where all of those items are converging on the edge of the channel is where all of these gigantic pike come in for a matter of a few weeks and just hang in there. And I'll tell you, if you can time it, which we did today, finally, we've been up here for 3 days.
That's right.
Today it was, everything converged. It was all the planets, the stars were aligned, and these giant 20-pound pike in 4 to 6 feet of water.
Yep.
Were just smacking
exactly
hard baits.
Yeah. It's insane. It's an absolutely insane. Our first 2 casts when we got started shooting was boom a pike and boom an Inconnu. On the first 2 casts of the shoot.
I forgot about the Inconnu.
You think about that. It's like, what is this going to... And then it just went on from there and there and there. And as Ed said, they're big ones. They are really big ones. And I'll tell you one thing. We have been faced with a lot of weather conditions. Today was a nice day. As you can see, it was sunny. But it was a straight north wind. Which a lot of people say, that was some of the best fishing we've ever had in our lives. Like a north wind. Do not be afraid. If you're up here, do not be afraid of a north wind. Get out there, and they're going to smash you. Sometimes you're going to kill it. For sure.
How did a small-town sheet metal mechanic come to build one of Canada's most iconic fishing lodges? I'm your host, Steve Niedzwicki, and you'll find out about that and a whole lot more on the Outdoor Journal Radio Network's newest podcast, Diaries of a Lodge Owner. But this podcast will be more than that. Every week on Diaries of a Lodge Owner, I'm going to introduce you to a ton of great people, share their stories of our trials, tribulations, and inspirations. Learn and have plenty of laughs along the way.
Meanwhile, we're sitting there bobbing along, trying to figure out how to catch a bass. And we both decided one day we were going to be on television doing a fishing show.
My hands get sore a little bit when I'm reeling in all those bass in the summertime, but might be for more fishing than it was punching.
You so confidently you said, "Hey Pat, have you ever eaten a drum?"
Find Diaries of a Lodge Owner now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast.
We interrupt this program to bring you the much anticipated bonus code for the latest Fishing Canada giveaways. This week's code is RECORD. Not record, right, Dean? Record. That is RECORD in all caps. Just type that in the bonus code section of the contest and receive 100 free entries towards all of our current giveaways. For those of you who aren't entered yet, what are you waiting for? Head over to fishingcanada.com while you listen to the rest of this episode. Click contests and sign up for all the latest Fishing Canada giveaways. And now, back to the episode.
Dino. Our very own Dino.
Come on now.
Dino Vasilino.
Dino, the fly fishing guru, is here with us. Is obviously he's behind the mic. He likes to think himself as a fly angler. Let's call it that.
Yeah, I hesitate to call myself that though.
Do you really?
I'm not a diehard. I'm not like a purist or anything. I think a purist wouldn't even like me being associated with it.
Why is that?
His buddy's a fly fishing instructor, and Dean says he hates the way Dean casts.
I don't think he's gonna like the way I cast on camera.
Really?
Yeah,
I love it.
I taught myself for the most part. Like I had some buddies who kind of showed me the way when I started. But then I learned how to fly fish on bass and bull trout and things that most purist fly guys aren't a huge fan of. So
really,
yeah.
Wow. Well, anyways, you impressed me. I took Dean after Pete and I have been, like I said, spending the last 3 days chasing pike and walleye too. We're going to talk about that in a moment. We also did a walleye episode, which we weren't going to, but the walleye fishing here is so damn good. It's so damn good. We said,
and fun.
Why not?
And fun.
Why wouldn't we? So we did that as well. But anyway, so later on today, Dean and I, who, by the way, I didn't realize Dean and I had never shot together before.
No, it was so cool.
So this was a first for me and for Dean. We had this little area that we had discovered earlier in our trip here. And I said, that's a perfect place for Dean and I to go in there, and he can muck around with that damn big noodle thing he shakes around, and I'll throw some crankbaits out there, and we'll have some fun. So we did. We'll get into that in just a moment. But I want to mention something here before we lose track of reality. And reality is, this is not a trip that everybody is going to make in their lifetime. First of all, it's expensive.
Yes, sir. Very expensive. Yeah.
The folks here, Peter and Andrew Fox, who own this operation, make no qualms about it. This is the way they first described it to us before we even came to this camp. They said that this is a resort that has world-class fishing. That was the description.
I agree with that.
And it is truly,
yeah,
truly that and then some. The food here, I would defy anybody, and Sheffy is right there behind us.
The guy's a beast.
I would defy anybody to, for example, today we had lasagna. Now you say, well, lasagna, everybody makes lasagna. Well, let me tell you, I'm a bit of a lasagna connoisseur. This could be one of the best lasagnas I've ever had.
Wow.
That was made by somebody whose name didn't start with nonna. Okay? All right.
I got to tell you something else, folks. This guy is the biggest
I'm a hard
lasagna critic, and he will never insult a chef, but he sure will tell me afterwards, yeah, what do you think? And of course, I'm a manja guy. That was good, Ange. What do you think? He freaks out every time. When he's saying this, he means this. So just to let you know.
This was spectacular. I only mentioned lasagna because we just had it. But all week, we've been having these 5-star meals.
Today. Smoked lake trout that Sheffy caught off the dock on crackers with a little lemon sauce or something. It was just unbelievable.
Smoked in a homemade.
Yeah, he smoked it in his oven, basically. He made a homemade smoking sort of dealio.
I dropped my book.
Yeah, that's okay.
And smoked
so good.
on this homemade thing that he put together.
Oh, Dean and I were putting a clinic on. They were fighting each other to get them, like seagulls on a freaking beach.
And what did we have? We had something else.
We had pork tenderloin after that.
No, but he prepared something here.
Walleye ceviche.
Oh, walleye ceviche.
It
was
which Vova shot, actually. It might make it to one of the episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm hoping so. If not, it'll be on YouTube, and I'm going to watch it a million times.
Oh, yeah, because I have to learn that one, too.
That was easy, wasn't it?
It took like 10 minutes.
See, I wasn't there. I didn't see the whole operation. But there was no heat or fire involved. It was just
lemon juice and vinegar.
That's it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was
outstanding.
Spectacular.
It was outstanding.
Spectacular.
I hugged him. I gave him a hug.
You did.
Dude,
you never give
I've
anybody
never had
hugs.
that. I never give anybody a hug. My dog, I hug my dog sometimes. But,
well, dogs, you got this thing.
Yeah.
My clock is out here.
All the meals, like honest to God, all the meals, like there has not been even the breakfasts.
Oh.
Okay, if you're a breakfast person, they are absolutely outstanding. He had little mini eggs Benny today, he said, and it was just, I don't like eggs Benedict, and they were fantastic. So there you go. Everything's been so good.
Why are we talking so much about that? Well, because I think it's important when you go to a place like this and spend the money that it takes to get to a place like this, not just the money that it costs for this, but we just mentioned all those flights. Well, they cost money.
Cost a lot of money.
And you have to overnight in Yellowknife. That costs money. So it's a very expensive proposition. Mm-hmm. It is not going to be, I'm not even going to put this on a bucket list for people. I just think it's a special place that only a very select few people will ever get an opportunity to experience. We're fortunate enough to be here.
Yep.
It's not a big place. They currently can accommodate 14 people. They do have the infrastructure in place to increase that to 24, which they're going to in a couple of seasons. But right now, it's 14 people at a time. And Pete mentioned the window of opportunity here is this big. Mm-hmm. It's ice out. Whenever that is up here, because that can change from year to year, to August something. So you're only talking a matter of a few weeks.
Yeah, the crew flies in. This opens up first. So the crew flies in 2 weeks before they predict the ice gone completely. So they get in here. They fly in to fix the camp up, et cetera, et cetera. And in that time, ice flows come from this way and can block them in at any given day. So they can't even take the boats out. They fly in and then they get the camp prepped for 2 weeks. And then, boom, open for business. Something else that's about this camp, and I know Angela will laugh at me for saying this, but this is a big thing, is that all your booze is included. You want to drink beer at night, you want to drink wine at night, you want to
Give me a hell yeah.
Thank you, my friend over there. All included. That doesn't happen a lot. And I'll tell you, for those of you that know what I'm talking about, at the end of a great high-end trip like this, yeah, booze is not included, but you can have a $500 to $1,500 bill on top of everything else. Well, you know what? You don't have that here. So that's a big thing.
If you're consuming a lot of alcohol, I can see where that would be a big plus.
Yeah.
But not everybody does. So,
No.
I mean, but if you are, this is one of those places that you want to come to. It's like the all-inclusive resort down in the Bahamas.
It.
You know what
This
I mean?
is it.
You wear the wristband and you get into all the bars and drink for free. But the equipment that these folks use, for example, the boat that we've been using for the last 3 days has a Garmin Force electric motor on the nose of it. Now, what camp?
That's a hell yeah. Come on.
Give me a hell yeah.
Thank you. That deserves a hell yeah.
What camp do you go to where you've got a remote-controlled electric motor with the name Force on it?
And to be able to spot lock in the current here.
That was an absolute must.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the guides have to drop an anchor, or they have to, some hold it with a paddle or whatever. We just locked, and that's how we caught our fish, basically.
Something else to mention. You mentioned the all-inclusive booze, which was your highlight. All-inclusive guides. So that means that everybody. The reason they only have 14 avails is because they have to have the infrastructure in place, meaning the staff. Well, each one of these boats behind us comes with a guide. So you don't have to worry.
You cannot go out without a guide,
You can't go out. You can't buy it without. It's all included in the price. You get up in the morning. You have a wonderful breakfast. Your guide has got the boat already warmed up for you. He's rubbed down all the seats, made sure all the dew was off the seats, and you meet up with him at the dock, and you decide what you want to do today, and he just makes it happen like you would not believe. So
and then you come in for supper. And then they offer everybody another night trip to go fishing up the river for grayling or something else. Or if you want to go for pike somewhere around here, they got another 2 or 3 hours, I believe, something like that.
Yeah,
till 10 o'clock at night.
Yes,
7 till 10 o'clock at night, and that's all included in the trip.
And why is that important? Well, because you got daylight till
in the
midnight.
Swamp,
It doesn't get dark here right now.
Yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's 9 o'clock right now.
Look how bright it is.
Yeah.
It's like
9
midday.
o'clock. Well, last night it was midnight, and I was using sunlight to light up my room.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's a little bit difficult.
It's weird,
get used to.
It's weird, but
right, first day or so.
I'll tell you what, though, you're so tired. The full day on the water. If you do the old morning trip and then you come back, do supper, then do the evening trip out, you get back, you have a couple of wobbly pops, and you're hitting that pillow pretty hard.
And every time you hook something, it's a workout.
Oh
my
All of them.
God.
Crazy. It's
Small
just crazy.
piker workout, let alone the giants.
So Peter and I have been throwing around a collection of mostly two baits, but a collection of Usuri baits. One of the reasons we came here was to play around with some Usuri baits, the hard baits, and put them to the test. And I got to tell you, we smacked up a lot of baits.
Oh my God! Every fish we caught was on Usuri. Every
Yes.
fish we got hundreds here. I don't know how many we got this week. Every one of them was on Usuri,
Including the walleye, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I want to talk just for a moment. We did not catch any of their famous and legendary 8 to 10 pound walleye, which would have been a treat, which I'm sure we could have had we spent more time on walleye, but we didn't spend a whole lot of time. To be honest with you, we dedicated a half a day to it.
Yeah.
And then Dean and I committed an hour to it later on. Yeah. So in total, we might have, 5-6 hours invested in walleye fishing, which is very particular. It's not in the same areas we're pike fishing. But I got to tell you something. I can't remember when or if I have ever seen a better quality average walleye anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
Am
Unbelievable.
I right? Now,
perfect. And perfect looking fish for the most part. A couple beat up. You'd think living in this pike infested world that they live in, they'd be all scarred and beat up. They were almost all perfect.
Perfect.
A couple of them had some marks on them, but other
minor.
than that,
They were pristine fish. I don't know how they do it, but they were all clones. The fish that we were catching were an incredible 3 to 5 pound sort of average.
They were
all
thinking
just
about that.
Massive.
23-inch plus fish.
Right.
Crazy.
Same thing, like Pete mentioned earlier on. We caught one little
Tiny.
regular walleye,
It was weird.
normal
we
walleye.
We freaked out because we were just talking about not catching any small ones, and we finally got one. So Dan says, "Oh, hey, we do see one here." That was it.
We also saw
Giants.
a couple of really cool things. Now, the pike have supposedly spawned, but, I question, and I don't want to argue with the local establishment here. We're told that the pike should be finished spawning in according to the water temperatures that we ran into. Under normal conditions, I would tend to agree. But
Absolutely.
we did run into some fish that were spawning. We believe they were spawning. One of them in particular was spewing eggs, so therefore that's a pretty good indication that that fish is either still spawning or has just decided it's done, it's not going to spawn.
Going to absorb the eggs.
But we had a spectacular moment here where we had about a 10 or 12 pound pike, which is considered small, by the way, on the line next to the boat, and we're shooting it for the show. And all of a sudden, this pike came up that was another 3 or 4 pounds bigger and bulkier, had big shoulders on
At
it.
least that much bigger, yep.
And it started doing like what we perceived to be
Stayed right with it.
mating things. Fish, right.
Stuck right to it.
And we shot
Bizarre.
it all, and it was
did a little nip at it, like a
spectacular.
spawning nip, like it did that. And it was insane.
We had another incident where we had a walleye on, and a pike came and took a big swipe
A big
at it.
walleye. About a 4-pound walleye that a pike took a swat at. And that pike wanted to eat that walleye. Think about that. That's a 24-inch walleye like that. And this pike comes up and
took a
takes a shot at it. So
it's been one incredible experience after another.
It's 100% barbless in Northwest Territories. Right. However, as in opposite of New Brunswick, where it's single barbless, here we get to run our treble hooks on our Yozuris, and we just had to squeeze all the barbs on it. So on the 2-hook base, we kept them with the 2 trebles. On our 3-hook base, we took the front treble off, the big jerk base, the big 130 hardcores, and we just squeezed the barbs in the back 2 hooks, and we landed a ton of fish with barbs not anywhere to be seen. We still landed a ton of fish.
Do you think, I'm trying to think back, did we miss any fish? Did we lose any fish because of the lack of barbs?
Yeah, we lost fish, and who knows why, right?
Why?
So
yeah, exactly. I don't think it was a barb thing.
Yeah.
Most of them were lost on the hook set or the strike. There was
Pike
no...
are a funny fish, you know what I mean? They bite funny, they hit funny. The big ones are nice because we were throwing that big saltwater-sized twitch bait, and they just... when they get that goes in their mouth. It could be sideways, it could be this way, but they get pretty much all of it. They just take it in there like that. And that, what a big pike does is he literally sucks in your bait. Like a largemouth bass, like all these big fish, they just suck in all the water that goes through the gills and they chomp on it. So that's why they don't bite it, they don't chew it, they hoover it in, and that's what these guys were doing here.
I had this one, I have the vision in my mind right now. I was lifting my bait out of the water, and this great big gator.
That was today.
That was today, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Gator come up, and he just did what Pete, he just sucked everything, air, water, everything. He didn't get my bait, though, because I had already lifted it out of the water, but he came up and just sucked it in. It just, oh my God, the
That's
scene.
interesting you say this, because people would say, why don't you figure eight them and all that? Yeah, we could have did that, but pike are different than muskies. These pike, they come up from the deep and up to the boat like that. Like, they don't come in like a muskie and stay parallel. You say, oh my God, he's following. You don't see it. And this is only 4 or 5 feet of water. You don't see him until the end. So it must be up below the bait, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, they'll come up and smash it by the boat. But you don't.
You got one in the boat that literally jumped in the boat with your bait.
It was unreal. It was
I'd never seen anything like it.
It's right by the boat, but you don't see him a foot and a half out there. You don't see him, but all of a sudden, woo, and it scares the hell out of you.
Jumped right up onto
God.
his bait. It was
Boom.
crazy.
Yeah, so that's you know what? That right there is worth the price of admission for a place like this alone. Just those boat side strikes of these giants that grab it. But then so many, and then we throw the big cast out, the big long cast with these baits are heavy, and boop, boop, zoom, all of a sudden right off the hop, and it's like, oh, he's got every type of strike here, and they some of them jump. They're not as jumpy yet. They will be in another 2 weeks to a month, and they're going to get really jumpy. But the ones that we did have jump, just they were just spectacular stuff.
I
Gills
wonder
open.
what that is. In a couple of weeks, you said
Their metabolism is the water
obviously temperature,
Yeah.
But if they come up here to spawn and then turn around and leave,
Well, they don't leave. The guys, remember the guys are catching them in cabbage beds in the summer?
Right. So they must stay here for the summer.
He says they start to leave in August. They stay for a good stint in the summer.
Right.
So they do a whole different thing than what Anjan was talking about earlier. Today we were fishing this break line, this flat and all this. There's hardly any weeds, but there's a little bit remnants. By the summertime, it's full of cabbage, and then they go after them in the cabbage beds. It's a whole different type of game.
Crazy. You could probably flip for them.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Jigs, right?
Boom, they drop in big giant jigs in them.
Anyways, it is, like I said, one of those, for an angler, it truly is the ultimate conquest to be able to come up to a place like this. I don't think there are many places like this, by the way, because for the most part, we were shocked to find out that there was a lodge that catered just to pike anglers. Yeah. They don't even promote their walleye fishery because they think it's a bonus.
And it's Northwest Territories. You're thinking lake trout, right?
Lake
That's
trout,
the big thing
lake
about here.
trout,
This
lake trout.
part of Canada is lake trout. So another interesting thing that we didn't mention is that when I said these evening fishes, one night we went out upriver here and into a little push, a little incoming whatever it was water, and we started pounding the grayling, Arctic grayling in there too. Dino did some fly fishing on that too, and we were smashing them in there too. Just for an hour and a half, we probably got 10 or 12 grayling too. So,
but much like the walleye, I think the grayling is sort of you're here anyways, and you've just you just
some people love them, I guess, but.
You just pounded 200 pounds worth of northern pike that day. Yeah. You want to go out for a couple of hours after you had a wonderful meal, maybe a beverage or two. You want to get in a boat and not travel all over the place.
Exactly.
Go back here for 5 minutes.
Boat ride, something like that.
And just have
and we were sight fishing the grayling. That was the very cool part. They were waking along the shore, and it's you can see there's one there, cast there. You drift your bait past them, and we cast to 1,000 fish, and we caught maybe 10. But it was so neat watching them sight fishing, and so it's another addition to a fantastic world-class trip.
So now let's get on to what I wanted to talk about earlier on. I said we'll talk about it later. So Dino and I went out later today and went into this back, what would we call that? It's not a back bay, really. It's just part of the lake.
It's a nice deep run against the bank. Because all this other stuff was way off the bank, our deep run, right? So this is right tight to the bank.
And we kind of set it up. I set it up with Dean as, okay, let's see what you can do with that damn fly. Big deal. You got a big, long nong rod. Big deal. Who cares? Let's see what you can do with it. There's the local security patrol.
My buddy. My little buddy. Hey, Lexi. How are you, girl?
Let's see what you can do. I'm going to throw some hard baits, and we'll see who does what to who. And I'll say it started out the way I thought it was going to go. I think I caught 2 big walleye,
right away.
First 2 casts, 2 giant walleye, and a pike.
Yep.
And when I've got the pike on, and we're looking at the pike, and it was a great big pike on small light rod and reel. We were, oh my God, look at the size of this thing. And I had said to Dean just before that cast, by the way, if you want to catch some small pike, have fun with your fly, cast over there into those ripples. It's loaded with little wee snot rockets. Have some fun over there. I, on the other hand, am going to deal with these big creatures here in the water. And what happened, Dino?
Yeah, I threw a cast back, and I was more paying attention to what Ange was, he was doing it on camera with this pike that was probably 35 inches. It was big.
Oh, yeah.
It was big.
Big and bulky.
And then I just got smoked. And I thought I probably had bottom, but I wanted to play it as a hook set because I hadn't been catching anything, and I knew the camera was on. And then all of a sudden it just peeled. And this was huge. Maybe a foot of water this thing was in.
It was. There's no big pike back in there. We had already fished it. It was just small little.
Oh, it was amazing. And so by the time I got it in, you had put your fish back, and I still needed another 3-4 minutes to get this thing tired out enough to get it.
How was it on that fly rod? That must have been nuts.
So we were trying to catch the walleye. We weren't really targeting pike.
Right.
So I was undergunned on the line because I was hoping for walleye, but I was overgunned on a rod. I was fishing a 10 weight.
Right.
Which is way too heavy for walleye, but I knew there's a chance I'd get a pike, and I'm throwing bigger stuff.
Exactly.
So I was right in the middle, but the problem was I had a 20-pound leader on, and that pike was close to that weight.
Oh, I was an 18 to 20-pound fish every day of the week.
Yeah, so I got lucky in the sense that I hooked the fish with 2 hooks because I was fishing an articulated streamer, and I hooked it on the outside of the mouth.
What the hell is an articulated streamer for crying
Don't you
out
know
loud?
that, Angelo?
So essentially,
Articulated.
yeah,
Articulated.
Have you ever articulated a streamer before?
I can't even spell articulated.
it's basically like a fancy way of saying it's a fly with a stinger on it.
Oh,
but
why
we used to-
articulated? Why can't you say a fly with a stinger
Hey,
on
we
it?
use articulated spinner baits all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
how you say a strike indicator. It's not a bobber. It's a
Right.
strike
Oh.
indicator.
It's a fly fishing.
Excuse
It's much
me.
cooler.
Fly fishing. Much
Well,
cooler.
well, he articulated this 20-pound pike. I got to commend. He did a wonderful job. Most people probably would have lost this fish. It was way too big for his equipment. Way too big. Did a great job, Dino.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Yeah,
outstanding.
And he got his first in canoe as
Yeah,
well
I
today.
got an Inconnu on the fly
Right.
too,
On the
which
fly?
is
So-
unbelievable.
You mentioned Inconnu earlier on. I'm sure a lot of folks went, huh? What the hell's an Inconnu?
Yeah, they're in an aluminum boat. They're not in canoe.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's also called a she-fish, believe it or not. It's a fresh, basically it's a freshwater tarpon. If you think of a tarpon and
that's what it looked like.
right? And you convert it into this smaller freshwater version, that's what you get in most of the Arctic Circle. I don't know how far south they range, but I've never heard of them south of Great Slave.
No.
Maybe Bear.
Yeah.
But that's even farther north. But they live from here to the north into the Arctic Circle, and they're really unique freshwater fish that most
cool.
people never. In fact, the camp here said that if they get one a year, it's a big deal. It's like the Holy Grail.
We got one last year, right?
So we caught two on this trip.
That's correct.
We caught 2 in 3 days. So I think maybe they're
Maybe the
starting
numbers-
to,
yeah, the
maybe
numbers
they're
might
starting
start
to
coming
move
in.
Same
So-
as their lake trout. They're actually,
Yeah.
when we first started talking to Peter Fox, the owner of this place, about, because both Dean and I, when we first met with him, said, why, like, you don't have any lake trout on your site. Like, you're supposed to be the lake trout mecca. And he said, we have none. It's very seldom that we even see a lake trout here, which we found very odd,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But since we've been here 3 days, there's been at least a dozen of them caught.
Yeah.
Most of them right off of this dock behind
That's
us.
right. One of them's in our bellies right now.
Oh, we smoked that
damn,
baby nice.
that was good.
So that tells me, and speaking to Peter and Andrew, the owners, they feel the things are starting maybe to change a bit, climate, whatever the reasons are, but these big lake trout are starting to move into the Mackenzie River, which they never did because it's too shallow.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. Now, on the other hand, the Inconnu, we caught that way up
It's correct.
in Beaver Lake.
Right.
So it's not at the mouth, it was way up. So
Yeah.
things are starting to obviously change like they are in so many parts of the world. Probably for the better, because if they can add to what they already have in the way of incredible trophy pike, if they can start adding lake trout,
Yeah.
look out,
so you
baby.
got trophy pike, you got big walleye, you got lake trout, and then if you want a fluky Inconnu or maybe even triper Inconnu and some grayling, boy, that's a pretty good species list. You know what I mean? And there's a great chance at maybe getting them all. You know what I mean? So
Now, the last member of the crew here on this shoot, we haven't even talked about him. He's sleeping right now. He's supposed to be
Did he
working.
give up?
No, not him.
Oh.
He's supposed to be working behind the camera, but he says to us that he gets some of his best naps when we are producing these podcasts.
Well.
But and
Really?
he was just napping. I just looked at him. He was napping there. But
Got him?
I have the most wonderful. You weren't in the boat. Is when Dean and I went up the river, because we were afraid that there were going to be a lot of bugs here. We saw some video that was produced here last year, and the anglers were ducking these hummingbird-sized bugs. So when we came here, we made sure we were well prepared. Buddy of ours, world famous, Ian Mucher, world famous, distributes this giant dragonfly. You've probably seen them in commercials and stuff, that you on a wire, and you just sort of it's got a little
Put it on
clamp.
your
You
hat
put it
or
on your
whatever.
hat and your shirt, and this thing kind of bobs around, and it wards off big flies like horse flies and deer flies and that kind of thing. Anyways, Ian sent us a box of those. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it.
Good man.
Good man. But because the weather's been so cold, we haven't really needed them. Well, today, things have warmed up a bit.
Absolutely.
When we went into the back area that Dean and I were fishing, the bugs were bad.
Yeah, there's no wind there. Out in the main lake, there was wind, right? No bugs. Boy, there was bugs in there today.
And so at one point, our bug lover, Vova, he covered himself with a muskol, first of all.
As always.
Then he put on a full bug hood and jacket.
Okay.
Then he had the dragonflies pinned to that.
You must have been quite a sight. You guys had to take a picture. Did you take a picture
He took
of that?
a picture of himself.
He took it himself.
Perfect.
He was
Thank
so
you,
impressed.
Boba. I want to see that. I want to see that one.
It was a sight to behold.
We did it. We played around. So I was in the other boat with Steve and our guy.
Did they work? Did you use them?
Well, they did work. So there was different types of bugs out. We think they're either gnats, like these little guys right here.
Yeah.
They're either young black flies that aren't biting, but I don't know why they wouldn't bite. So they may be these little gnats. But there was horseflies were started.
Yeah.
And the gnats didn't care about this dragonfly. They did not care at all. They were still swarming around. It didn't matter. But all the horseflies and all that, like, you know how when you get a horsefly sitting there, you go like this, you can get almost right up to him before you can kill him.
He's not intimidated by you at all.
This right here, by about here, phew, they were gone.
Oh, so they did?
They took off. We'd experimented with it. The ones that
Wow.
landed on the boat, and they wouldn't come near. They took right away from the boat.
Okay, so we have official scientific.
That's science right there,
Scientific
folks.
proof that
On the
Peter
boat.
Bowman, I wasn't with him at the time, and
Stevie,
Steve Niedzwiecki did
and
experiment.
Luca was there too.
Did experiment with this thing, and it worked.
Oh
apparently.
my God! I mean, I don't know if it was a fluke or not,
Okay.
but I guarantee you get your hand a lot closer than that to hello, hi, thank you.
Why'd you put it in your mouth too?
Yeah, it seemed to work pretty
Okay.
good. So
Perfect.
I'll take that off
Anything else, Dean, that you'd like to add to this discussion about your first adventure?
Oh, it was a dream come true. It was a truly amazing. So when you told me last night I was going to, that was kind of the idea. I thought it would be just more of like a behind the scenes type thing, but to do it on camera and to do it on this show is just like so surreal. It hasn't really
sunk in.
Yeah,
It'll sink in when you see it,
yeah,
right?
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I
It was
really
a great
appreciate it.
experience for me too. I love sharing those moments with people younger people like yourself. That see, sometimes we get a little jaded. We've seen so much of this. We've done this for so long. Sometimes we get a little callous to it. But I got to tell you, on this trip, that was not the case. I think I was as giggly and bubbly as everybody else was.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so thrilled
so cool
to be here. So
what a great experience! I mean, this is a world-class experience. There's no doubt about it. If, as Ann said, it's a little expensive, but if you can afford it and you love predator fishing, you have to come to this place. You have to come here.
I will tell you right now, for those of you who are quickly rushing to see what it looks like on the website, to get on their website and check it out, you're going to be thoroughly disappointed. And I've told the owners this before. They do such a poor job of
advertising a world-class spot, really.
of telling folks what they have.
Yeah.
If you go to the website, you're going to say, that can't be what these guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. They're going to fix the site. They took it over 2 years ago, so they're working on everything here, including the website. So we're going to help them along with that too. So
Don't be disappointed when you go there, because it does not do it justice at all.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have anything there that you're going to say, oh my God, that was it. No. Take this podcast as what you should think of when you come here.
Yeah.
Because we're probably understating it even. It's that spectacular.
It's so good.
It's hard
So-
to talk about without seeming like you're exaggerating and stuff.
Yeah,
Like it really
of
is.
course.
Yeah.
Listen, Pete said earlier on that we have made contact with a couple hundred fish. I think that's probably being very conservative.
Oh,
Those are
God,
the
yeah.
big fish
Yeah, that's
that
what I
we
mean,
can
yeah.
recall. There's so many small fish that we don't even remember. It is a fishery beyond description. If you're a northern pike aficionado and you travel around to all the great places in the world and you don't know about this place, you're not fishing pike.
Bring a little clicker with you,
Oh!
a little fish counter with you, and have your guide just count for you. You'll drive him nuts because he will be in the hundreds every day, guaranteed. Big, small, everything. It's It's insane. It really is.
So tomorrow we unfortunately have to leave. There's a plane coming in at 8 o'clock apparently tomorrow morning to pick us up. We're going to spend the day in
Hay River.
Hay River. We've got to do some shooting for the folks from NWT. And then we're off. We're back home. Mm-hmm. The long route this time, though. We're not going direct from Yellowknife.
Stop at Edmonton.
Edmonton first for a few hours.
Hours there,
then,
which is fine, too.
It's been a great adventure. You're going to get a chance to see it all starting January of 25. There might be some stuff going up on YouTube from this
the ceviche stuff and maybe some other stuff we did.
Yeah, we got some little bits and bites.
Maybe some little bits and bites that we could put up there just sort of to tease it.
Yep.
But I tell you right now, you do not want to miss that show. Yeah. If you need it as reinforcing your decision to come here, then you go right ahead and you wait for it. But let me tell you, if you're predisposed to put yourself in a locale like this, you must do it. You must do it.
Absolute must.
And I have no reservations telling you that right now. You must do it. There. I'm done.
Done.
That's it. We're going to, because it's our last night, we're obviously going to maybe, I don't know, partake in some libation and maybe.
Oh, now you're drinking, are you?
Maybe tomfoolery along with that. Perhaps there might be a cigar and a whiskey involved.
Yeah, buddy. I think we could do that, couldn't we?
Cigar and a whiskey.
And wash it down with a beer.
And wash it down with a beer, and then but we need to pack first because if we do all those things, the
we're
packing.
Forget
well, I'm living out of my suitcase, so I'm 80% done right now.
Are you already done?
Well, I just been pulling stuff out of. I got all my clothes for every day because we've had such weather conditions. I got them all laid at the end of my bed. I'll just say, okay, today I got this, and this, and just put it on and put it back there again.
Before we sign off, I do want to say one other thing worth noting at this point. When you do come to a place like this, never fool yourself into believing that the weather will be wonderful.
My.
And the worst thing that you could do, because quite honestly, aside from today, and look at this. I mean, this looks like a mill pond. For the last 3 days, this has been an ocean. Mm-hmm. So right now it looks wonderful. Mm-hmm. Had we not anticipated that and brought multiple layers of clothing and outerwear, this would have been a real big disaster for us.
It was cold out there today, all day on the main lake. It was cold out there. You know what I mean?
Would have been a disaster. Yeah. Can you imagine freezing out there?
We wore everything. Just bring lots of good undergarments. Just layers. That's lots of layers. You don't need to bring your snowmobile suit or anything like that. Well, you might if you're depending, but just bring lots of layers and be prepared because that's a great tip that Ange just said.
I had like 5-6 layers on.
Oh my God! That was on my shirt layer one day. I had 5 or 6 shirts. Then I had the jackets and the hoodie. Oh yeah, it was insane.
We didn't get rain, which we normally do on all of our shoots. We had no rain. Nice. I can tell you that. But all of our rain gear got worn because it's the perfect outer layer. Yeah. Once you layer up a breathable, good quality Gore-Tex or versions of is a must, even if it's not going to rain.
Agreed.
It's absolutely perfect.
Agreed.
So that was my last thing. It just came to mind. I made a note, but then I forgot to mention. Always anticipate the worst, and you'll have the best time.
If you come here later than us, one last thing. We tried topwater. The fish wanted to hit the topwater yours, but they just weren't there. Another 2 weeks from now, you will go insane with the size of these fish ripping into your topwater baits. So.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, it would be so much fun. We'd be screaming like little kids. Those bites that we were getting by the boat, we were screaming like little kids.
Oh, my God. Because you know what you could do? If they were along that ledge where the rocks are, you could throw that topwater bait right on that edge, on the rocks.
Sure you could.
And just boom,
bring it
boom,
off
boom,
the rocks,
boom, 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 bring it off the rocks, and they
toilet
would just
flush.
literally explode on it.
Toilet flush.
I'm giving myself a heart attack.
We'll come back for that one and pitching jigs into the cabbage. How's that? We'll come back 2 more times.
Done.
Okay.
All right, that's it. On behalf of the entire crew, I know everybody's anticipating what I just said we were going to do after we get off from this podcast, except Mo, but he's still napping over there.
Got him.
We'll see if we can wake him up. And is Stevie still back there fishing away?
Stevie's fishing away.
Give me a hell yeah!
Stevie, there.
On behalf of the entire crew, Steve Niedzwicki, Vova, Dean Taylor,
Come on now.
Peter, I'm Angelo. Thanks for joining us on the road again. Talk to you next time.